Hey guys, what is up? This is Philbo, and we're going to be talking about the Electrified Frost Mage build that I've been using for Season 2 Origin mode. It utilizes Lightning Chain and Frost Thorn and is a critical hit build. So we're going to go ahead and jump in, talk about the runes you need, the zodiac points, gear, and then briefly cover the avatar. So let's jump right in. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and talk about the skills and the runes we're going to need. So our first and fourth slots here are going to be our movement skills. I use 2 movement skills just to help get through the game faster, map quicker. Good to have. The first one we have is shield charge because I do use a shield. If you don't want to use a shield, you can use leap instead, but shield charge works. And then we also have roll. Both of these have a low cooldown, the same cooldown, so they're low, and they also each get a maximum use count. That's why I like them. So I use both of these. I use Siphon Life is going to be my defense enhanced skill. So whenever you're getting low on health, you pop this and it will bring your health back up. It works just like a life leech. And then also using for attack enhance is going to be our release element. You pop this and you start doing a ton of element damage amp, and a nice cast speed boost comes along with it. And then we are of course using lightning chain. I have awakened lightning chain to Verity, so whenever you get to the point where you go to awaken your lightning chain, make sure you grab Verity, because Verity is going to give us additional lightning amplification per remaining chain. So this means for every chain that is not being used or that we have left over, you do additional damage times this amount. So if you're hitting a single target and no chains are in use, this is 15. You can do the math. 15 times 2.4 is quite a bit. That's a lot of amplification, right? So this can get up to 3%. Had this been at 3%, that would be 45% additional amplification against single target. You also get some chain range with that, which is nice to help extend and hit mobs that are further apart. So Verity is the best awakening that you should get. We are then triggering to Frost Thorn, and Frost Thorn has a few awakenings. They each have their benefit. However, I went with Source. Source gives a strong boost in damage against elites and bosses, and this seems to be what takes the most amount of time when you're mapping, is going through bosses. So that's what I'm using there. And finally, we have the Seal of Condensed Elements. This is just our attack seal that we're going to be using to get extra damage, and then your defense seals you're going to get through guild boxes, and you can kind of use whichever one is best for you based on your situation. So let's go ahead and run through the links that we're using. All of these links, for the most part, are very easy to acquire. Nothing is rare, like a rare synthesis link, nothing like that. So on Lightning Chain, I'm using Find Weakness to get additional critical rate, element damage amplification. Now, this is a magic synthesis rune, so you will have to synthesize magic runes to get this. However, if you don't get it, you'll eventually get a pity, and you can use that on this element damage amplification. We're using Quick Cast. Quick Cast is very good. Gives massive boost to your cast speed, and is great because as this gets leveled up, it affects not only your main rune, but your triggered rune, because the faster this casts, the faster this gets out. So this right here is going to be an increase in damage to both runes, so it pays to get this one buffed up ASAP. I'm also using lightning penetration just to get some additional penetration. This is a normal synthesis rune, so you'll have to synthesize at the alchemy table some normal runes to get this. Eventually, this will probably be the first rune that I replace for something better. And then this one, Chain, is also a magic synthesis rune, which is very, very important. Very important for extending the amount or adding the amount of additional amount of chains to our lightning chain. Recall earlier that we took the Verity Awakening, which is going to give us damage amplification per max chain, per chain. So, more chains we have, more damage we do. So right now, this chain is giving me an extra 3, 4, 5 chains. So that's a lot of extra damage, and it allows us to hit more mobs to help us clear faster. Right now, this gets me up to 16 chains. So I have more than the max that I need to get the additional amplification, but it's still good to have extra to help clear mobs faster. This chain is also going to affect our Frost Thorn. It only hits one mob by default, but if you add chains to it, and you can see that it has additional chains, 4 chains count, it's going to hit multiple mobs. So this is going to help us with clearing. Moving on, we have Frost Thorn, and we have added additional cold damage. We're using this one instead of a % damage rune because Frost Thorn scales with flat damage very, very well. So we have additional cold damage. Also have fine weakness on this. This one can be replaced fairly soon because Frost Thorn does have a lot of built-in critical rate already. So 60% crit rate. So this one could be replaced early on. We have multi-shot. Multi-shot is going to add additional projectiles, so additional thorns. So these 4 projectile counts are going to be added to the Frost Thorn count. That's a lot of extra damage. So we have to use multi-shot. And then finally, the secret sauce here to our Frost Thorn, and a big reason why we want to use it, is we have Extract Energy. So Extract Energy is going to give us a chance to gain cold energy, right? So if we look at cold energy, we can see that every stack of cold energy that we get is going to decrease our element damage by 3% per stack. Now, you can get a default of 5 stacks of cold energy right out the gates. There are ways to increase your max energy, but by default we have 5. And if we look at Frost Thorn and read into it, we can see that Frost Thorn gets an additional thorn per 2 cold energy. So we have 5 right now. We are going to raise it by 1 more in the zodiac tree, and we'll talk about that later. So that's going to give us an extra 3 thorns. So not only is this giving us more damage here, but it's also giving us a lot of element damage reduction. So once we get our 6 stacks, we're going to be nearing 20% element damage reduction. We're going to look at our enhanced skills real quick. Siphon Life for our defense, and then also Release Element for our attack. There are more link runes than you're seeing right here, but the main 2 that you want to get on here are your Time Acceleration and Increased Duration. Our movement skills are right here. Biggest one that you want to get on there is your Disarm. At some point, you'll probably want to get this Readiness rune. And Readiness is going to give us some HP and barrier regen. So that's the skills, and that's the link runes. All right, guys, we're going to look at our zodiac tree next. Let's start with stats. As far as stats go, you only need enough strength and dexterity to support the gear that you're putting on. That's all you're going to need it for. And at some point, once you hit level 100, you'll probably have enough stats to try and boost your stats up enough in each of these to get to where you can use this 40% damage if strength, dexterity, and intelligence is 200 or more. Before that, I wouldn't recommend doing it. If you don't have the stats to do it, don't worry about it. Before then, just focus on getting enough dexterity and strength to support the gear that you need to use. Pump everything else into intelligence. That simple. Okay, so that is the stats. Next, we're going to look at our zodiac points that we're going to put. I put 7 points in here all the way around, skip this 20 mana node. In our second tree forest, we're going to go through all the way on the bottom here and pick up this one node in the middle. Tree 3, we're going to grab all these on top. Tree 4, we're going to go here, take the resistance that you're the lowest on. For me, it's poison, so that's why I've grabbed poison. I've opted for barrier here, as I think that barrier is actually fairly good in this season, and I'm experiencing pretty good gameplay with it. So I'm taking additional barrier. Also, having super high intelligence just gives you a bigger benefit to your barrier. So I've gotten the barrier here. That's tree 4. Tree 5, I go down the bottom here and I grab this 1% damage taken decrease node, which is very good. If you don't have maximum resistances though, I would go up top and skip these 3 on the bottom. So take these 3 up top here, skip these 3 on the bottom. I've also taken these 3 points right here just to pick up this extra barrier regen per second. Again, I like barrier a lot. So that's that for tree 5. Tree 6, we are going to take this path up top here to get critical hit. Then tree 7, if you can, take this 40% node if you have the stats to handle it. If not, you can put it elsewhere. I've taken every single node in set. The one thing here that I would say is you don't necessarily need these top 4. However, lightning chain gets a benefit from area of effect in its length, so you get almost 10% more lightning chain range from getting this node right here. And for me, I like being able to cast from further away if I can. These 4 points for me are totally worth it. However, they're optional. You don't need them. I like them. I also put 5 points here to get additional mana. If you're handling your mana really well, you can drop these. However, this build does focus on high cast speed, so I take this because I tend to suck mana very quickly, and this helps out. In Decay, I go through the middle here, take the crit rate for one-handed damage because I do use a one-handed weapon and a shield. I think shields are very, very good. They add, you don't lose a whole lot of damage, but they add so much survivability. So I highly recommend using it. If you're not going to use that, there are other trees in here that focus on either dual wield or two-handed weapons, and you can pick up the points there. I also go into Carpenter because I wear a shield and I'm able to pick up some really strong zodiac traits here. So this is what I do. And then finally, for the last tree that I put points into, and this is going to look kind of funny because it's cold damage, but I come through and take these 5 points up top to get this 1 fixed max cold energy. Now, why do I do this? If you recall from earlier, every 2 cold energies that we get, our Frost Thorn gets an additional thorn. So this extra fixed max cold energy is going to bring our total maximum number of cold energies up to 6. So instead of having 2 additional thorns from having our cold energy stacks, we're going to have 3. And that's going to add a good bit of damage. And like I said earlier, that decrease in element damage. And then we get the 10% cold energy effect up here as well. So our 6 stacks of cold energy are going to get a 10% benefit to that decrease in element damage. Finally, we are going to go through and we will be choosing the Brilliance specialization. In my opinion, this is the only really good one for casters. So this is what we're doing. We're going up top, grabbing this cast speed amplification. We get acceleration, which is really good. Definitely recommend going up this route early as you're leveling and then coming back down. To get overpower, you'll need to get these bottom 2 here later on once you've pushed your chaos statue level. The second tree here, we are going to get, we're going to go down here and get this element damage amplification, pick up knowledge, and pick up sharpness. Once you get your additional 2 skills, then I would work on the sharpness and this crit rate here. And then finally, we're going to go to waterfall. Some people will want to go to pirate. However, and pirate's fine, but in my opinion, I think waterfall is slightly better because you get barrier absorb, and this cast speed amplification helps you just, I mean, casting fast is just, it's really good. It's fun. It helps you stutter step quicker, and if you've seen the game, you'll see some gameplay later on, but you'll see stutter stepping is just a good way to kind of attack defensively. So this helps you casting faster, helps you stutter step faster, and then also this element damage amp up here is really big, and then we also get some more amp here. So this is the route to go, and that is the zodiac tree. Okay, real quickly, we are going to go over the gear that we're using here. So if we look at our gear here, you'll see that I'm using a one-handed weapon and a shield. Like I said earlier, I think shields are fantastic. They add a ton of survivability, and you don't lose a whole lot of damage. And I'm serious, you do not lose that much damage. Maybe 10-ish, 15% damage max. But you would have to have 2 really, really good weapons for it to even matter. If you have one weapon that is way better than the other, then the shield's probably going to do overall more damage for you. Real quickly, I just want to show my shield adds 35% block. That's 35% total avoidance. So that's my cell on the one-handed weapon and shield route, and that's what I use. You want to make sure that you are focusing on getting a high crit rate based on your weapon. You want this number right here to be as high as possible. 18.5 on mine is even kind of low. I would like something a little bit higher, closer to 20 plus, but this is what it is. You also want your weapon to have good speed if you can help it. These 2 stats add a lot of damage, and then of course you want to see some sort of spell damage on it, and really gear crit damage is huge as well. So on this weapon, if there was one thing that I could change, I would change this lightning resist to probably critical damage, and this weapon would be really good. Daggers, scepters, wands, all great. Do know that if you are using something like leap or penetrating slash as a movement ability instead of shield charge, you won't be able to use a wand. So shield charge works for with wands and any weapon that we're going to use. So, but I think shield charge is great. Biggest thing to keep in mind is you want to make sure that you're picking up resistances. So on any piece you get, looking for like maybe 2 resistances on it could be good. So like your chest piece, you're going to want to try and get resistances. Boots. Hands you might not be able to get because on your hands you're going to be looking for crit damage, crit rate, cast speed. So, you know, if you can, you definitely want to. Resistances should be maxed out. The way you look to see if you're maxed out is you'll go over here, click on defense, and you'll see your resistances. As you see, my poison resist is low, so I need to fill this in. Because when I go against poison mobs, I go down very quickly. For shield, if you do go the shield route, make sure that you get gear block expertise. This number right here determines your block percent chance, and having this on here boosted me from a 60 to a 99, and the actual block percent is significantly higher because of that. You also need element damage on here. All right, so that's what you want on shields. And as far as neck piece goes, you can possibly roll flat damage on your neck pieces. So if you can get lightning damage flat, you'll want that, plus element damage. Belts are great source of getting mana recovery. So this build does not utilize convert mana. So getting mana recovery elsewhere is great. Belt's a good place to do that. You can get mana potion cooldown recovery speed or mana potion effect. Then for rings, finding anything from with cast speed, crit rate, crit damage, and element damage is going to benefit you. We are going to look at our relic. For the relic that you want to use as your main relic, it is most definitely going to be Avatar of Sefdar. 100%, nothing is better. This is the best one for casters. And the reason being is because we have two great passives. First passive being cast speed, the enhanced cast speed, which gives us movement speed amp and movement speed increase, which is awesome. But we also get a cast speed buff. If we need more chaos resistance, we also have the option to get enhanced chaos resist. So this is another great passive skill that I use all the time. And if you get to the point where you've maxed your cast speed out at 5, then you can swap over to enhanced chaos resist, and this works wonderfully. For our active skill, we have mental stimulation. Definitely take this cooldown recovery speed as the link, and then from here it's kind of up to you. I like to use recovery because I recover either max HP or mana, so every time this buff gets cast I get 4% of either my max HP or mana based on whichever one is lower. However, if you feel like you have enough mana and you're doing fine, you can get a 20% buff here, the mental stimulation, to get additional amplification, or you can use this last one, which is enhanced damage decrease, to get a 4% damage taken decrease. Going from there, there are plenty of other avatars for their passives. Good ones would be Spica is a good one because you can pick up this double damage passive. Also, Acubin has a really good one. Enhanced lightning penetration to get all this additional lightning damage. This one actually probably does more overall damage for this build than Spica does, but I'm probably going to pick up both of those, but definitely look through the other options because there might be certain things that help your build out. So that's what I'm using as my main, and then Spica and Acubin are probably what I'm going to level up next for the passives. Final thing that we're going to go over here is going to be charms. Since this is a critical rate build, we are going to need to focus on getting critical rate and critical damage on our charms. Those are the top two priorities. So all your charms, you're going to want to be focusing on getting crit rate and crit damage on them. And you'll also want to make sure that you're getting your Castor 140 points from your charms to get Castor's Blessing for the 15% element damage amplification. All right, guys, so that is the Electrified Frost Mage build that I've been using. I hope you've enjoyed it and it's helped you out. If it has, please give me a like and subscribe, as it helps me out a lot. If you got any other questions that I haven't answered, just leave a comment or catch me on Twitch or message me in game or something, and I'll get back with you and help you out as best as I can. But it's time to get back to the grind, so I'll catch y'all later.